This is the fourth lesson of our channel's course of Homeric Greek, a general introduction to the language of Homer and a first encounter with the legendary lines of the Iliad. In this lesson, we will proceed to the study of regular verbs formation. Specifically, we will make an overview of the verb luo, and to be more specific, the present active indicative of this verb. But before we proceed, let us make a short recap of what we have already learned thus far. In the previous lessons, we studied female nouns as clitic paradigms of the first declension. We are also familiar with the sounds and accents of Homeric Greek. Lastly, through translation exercises, we have some knowledge of the oblique cases, namely genitive, dative, and accusative. Now, let us study the formation of the verb luo in the present tense of the active indicative. Before we proceed, we should say a few words about the tenses, voices, and moods of the verb. The present literally means that something is currently happening, and is pretty much the equivalent of both simple and continuous present in English. The active voice indicates that the subject of the verb acts, and the indicative mood denotes something real or something known to be false. Now, let us read the verb luo. As with nouns, we have singular, dual, and plural, and we have first, second, and third person. I, you, he, she, it. We, you, they, with the addition of a dual number. Now, one can point out that there is no first person in the dual, because the dual is always...
That does not make sense.
It doesn't make sense to have a first person in dual. So let us begin with the first person in singular.
Luo.
Okay.
Luo.
Luo. This is a long O. And what about this?
Lues.
Okay. Actually, we have to point that this epsilon iota is actually a long E and not an A. It is a contraction of vowels, of previous vowels. So it is
Lues.
lues. And the very same
Lue.
in the third person, lue.
But it's the same as heta.
Not exactly the same, because heta is more open in its pronunciation. But we cannot fathom this in easy manner. It is pretty difficult to point out the actual difference. It would be something like a heta being an E, and an epsilon iota being something like E. So the epsilon iota is a closed one, while the other one is an open one. The dual, lueton. Lueton and lueton, the same in second and third person. And the plural.
Luomen.
Okay, the second person.
Luete.
And the third person.
Luosin.
Lusin. Okay, the right pronunciation of this is U or O. It's not... we cannot fathom whether it was a long O or an U.
Like modern Greek. So.
Yes, like in modern Greek. In this case, because it is caused of a contraction of previous vowels. This is all for our grammar in this lesson. It is not that much, but we will study a lot of verbs like luo in the vocabulary section of our lesson, and hopefully so far we have memorized previous vocabulary And we are ready to do the same with this lesson. Let us read the vocabulary. Let us begin with the first verb.
Aido.
Aido, meaning
Sing.
sing, hymn or chant. And this one is not exactly a word. It is a prefix. Inseparable prefix, which means that we will not encounter this as a word. We will only encounter it as a prefix in other words. And what does it mean?
Not an, this, or less, as a suffix, and so on.
Yes.
It means without, and it's pronounced an.
Okay. Pretty easy. This one. How should we pronounce it?
Handano.
Okay. It means please. Now, we note that it comes with a dative. That means that the object of the verb is in dative. Or that the verb is followed by a dative. This one.
Here is the prefix we saw before.
Yes,
right?
that's the prefix. That's the prefix.
Atimazdo.
Okay, this was the right pronunciation. It does mean dishonor or insult someone. And the second comes from the word time. Yes.
But where is the N of an?
The N of an, it drops because the following word begins with a consonant. And so, if the following word begins with a vowel, it is an. If it begins with a consonant, it is an a. The next word.
Baino.
Baino. Meaning, come, go, walk, move, in general. This one.
Ace.
And we always encounter it with
Accusative.
accusative. And sometimes we will encounter it simply as S. Now this one, we already know the third person.
Ekhe.
Ekhe.
This is ekho.
Echo. I have, I hold, I keep. This is the first person. Now this one.
Kaio.
Kaio. To burn or to consume something. Now this is the verb that we studied before. Now we are about to learn what it means. Loose, which means to unleash something. It also means to free, to make something free, to break up or to destroy something. Let loose the four horsemen of the apocalypse, for instance, or the wolf Fenrir in Ragnarok. The next one. Oleko. Kill, destroy, ruin. Pempo, which means send. Escort, conduct. The next verb. Teleio, to accomplish something, to fulfill. And yet again, to conduct something. Teuko, to make, to fashion, to perform, to prepare something. And the last one, pero, bear, carry, bring. Now, as in the last lesson, we will supply our students with a few translation examples to guide them with their home study. Let us begin with an example from the first group, the Greek to English group. Aidomen boulas theaon holaon. And there is a question mark in the ending, which means that this is a question. Now, what does this sentence mean, word by word? Let us begin with the first word.
First word is first person of plural. So, considering that it is question, are we singing? Are we chanting?
Ωραία, are we chanting? Aido means to chant, to hymn, to sing, to praise. Boulas, we know this word.
The plans or the will.
The plans or the wheels. Which case is this?
This is accusative plural.
And the third word,
Of the goddesses.
we encountered this word in the last lesson. It was one of the examples that we studied of the goddesses, right? This is the genitive of the plural.
Yeah.
And polaun means of many. It is, yet again, it is an adjective, hand in hand with the treaun, and it means of the many goddesses.
This is the question I wanted to make.
Which question?
Many goddesses or many plants? Many goddesses.
No, many goddesses, because it is in the same case.
Mhm.
The plans are in accusative, the goddesses is in genitive, and the polaun of many is in genitive. So it is, are we chanting the wills of many goddesses? Of the numerous goddesses? Perhaps we could also translate it in this way. This is a good one to check our knowledge in the verbs. We can use the index that we have in the beginning of our lesson.
Should I try it directly?
Yes, yes.
You two are loose. It's dual.
It's a dual. It might be a second person,
Or
you
third.
two or they two.
The next one.
The next one,
You lose.
you lose,
We lose.
we lose.
They lose. You plural lose.
Okay. Right. Correct. Now let us move to the second group. The second group is the English to Greek one. Let us see an example. Let us see the first example. It is pretty much like the first example that we did of the previous group.
Okay. Who? I think we have made it in previous lessons.
Yes.
Tis.
Tis. Right. Tis. It could be a male, it could be a female. Tis.
Is singing. Aide.
Aide. Aide, because the last A is pronounced like a long
Okay. Aide.
Aide. Now the evil plants.
Accusative plural. Kakas.
Mm-hmm.
Bolas.
Kakas bolas. Tis aide kakas bolas.
And the last part, I think it's on genitive plural,
Mm-hmm.
not dative.
Genitive, genitive.
So genitive. So fair is good. So kalaon,
Mm-hmm.
theaon.
Okay, this is the right translation. Can we repeat it all in one?
Tis aide kakas bolas kalaon theaon.
Correct. That's the correct translation. Let us see another example before we end our lesson.
They have ekosin,
Okay?
many, polas, fair plants, kalas, bolas.
Correct. That's a good translation.
Ekosin, polas, kalas, bolas.
Okay.
This is not Greek.
Yeah.
A honest advice: if you come to Greece as a tourist, don't try to speak like this.
Yes, don't try to speak like this. Everybody is going to look at you like an alien being or
An Arab, don't know.
an Arab. Our lesson has been completed. Thus far, we have encountered both nouns and verbs of the Homeric dialect. Our vocabulary is constantly expanding as much as our understanding of the language of Homer grows. Until our next lesson, have a great time studying the language of Homer.
And we will show some some lines of the poem, even if we don't have the whole vocabulary.
Yes, that would be fabulous.